was it like playing one of the screen's all-time greatest villains?
Oh, it was amazing. I still pinch myself. It's such an honor and it's such a privilege to be able to play such an iconic character like the Evil Queen. I had a lot of fun bringing her to life and portraying this delicious character.
How would you describe the Evil Queen? What motivates her?
I think for me, in order to find ways to connect to her and to love her, I couldn't just play her as like a just mean and bad character because she just wants more power. For me, she was very vulnerable and full of insecurities about who she is and what grants her power and what's important in life. And she was a little bit misunderstood. And that's what motivates her. She thinks that with her beauty, she will be loved and grant power. But it's not the way to go. Evil Queen, I'm sorry.
What can you tell us about the Evil Queen's relationship with her magic mirror?
The magic mirror is kind of like, the magic mirror fuels the ego for the queen. As long as the queen gets reassured by the magic mirror that she's the fairest of them all, then she's fine. But as soon as the answer is different, then she's completely broken and raged and unhinged and losing it.
How was it working with Pasek and Paul and choreographer Mandy Moore?
It's amazing. I think that we've had such an incredible creative team working on the film between Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, working on the music, having Mandy Moore, who's like they're all such a dream to be working with, and they really elevated the film to the best version of what it could be.
All right, first question. Why is the character of Snow White so beloved?
I think what makes Snow White so beloved is her optimistic grace. I mean, there is something so kind and so warm-hearted about her and how she moves through the world in the darkest part of the kingdom and in the darkest times of the kingdom. She finds something uplifting and optimistic and allows everybody to be the best version of themselves and finds sort of joy and optimism in even the darkest of times. And I think that's something that we can all learn from.
What inspiration did you find in the 1937 film, and how did you put your own spin on the story?
I think I was inspired by how kind she was. This was something, there was a gentle spirit about her, but there was also something thoughtful and warm about her character that I really wanted to pay homage to. I also thought we had an opportunity to find a few modern surprises and twists that still felt, like we were revering or respecting the original, but also giving people something to look forward to and a few surprises along the way that I think the audience has found great delight in. And not only that, there was some new music. I mean, we did these hits, Waiting on a Wish, or we did Whistle While You Work, Hi-Ho, these wonderful sort of iconic songs, but also wanted to create something that felt new and gave the audience something to look forward to. I mean, there's great numbers. Waiting on a Wish, I think, is already sort of making an impact, and people are playing it and realizing sort of like how powerful Rachel's voice is. But there's also fun. Princess Problems is a great sort of modern ditty that sort of fits into the world in a really wonderful way, and again dramatizes just how impactful Snow White is to the characters around her. There's just so much music that is coming alive in this movie that I think is really just delightful.
What was your overall vision for this film?
My overall vision for the film was I just wanted to deliver joy. I think that was always the North Star, is to make something delightful and make something joyful that people could lose themselves into in for an hour and a half. And, that is something that we all agreed on. There's messages of sort of kindness and of finding humanity in each other, but, we just, at the end of the day, wanted to entertain.
What did Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot bring to their roles?
I mean, Rachel has this sort of like optimistic worldview that I think is super endearing and lovely, and she has this sort of a graceful countenance that I think you can feel in the movie. And like she also has a deep understanding of the Disney sort of lore and Disney movies, and she grew up with them. She is such a Disney kid in every conceivable way. And so she kind of understood the tone of that character and just what that kind of specific kind of optimism and mix of sort of modernity and something very traditional. And she could really embrace that. And Gal has this sort of immense exotic power to her that is thrilling to be around. She is, she's absolutely stunning and beautiful and one of the most beautiful women in the world. And but she also she knows how to carry herself. And that power and that discipline is really at play in this character. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people in the world who can pull off those costumes the way Gal can. And that was just delightful. And boy, she in All's Fair, which is her great sort of villain number, she is having such a good time. And I think the audience has really started to feel just how magnificent Gal is in this movie.
Let's talk about Benji Pasek and Justin Paul.
Pasek and Paul.
How important is their musical to the overall narrative?
Well, so Pasek and Paul are some of the greatest songwriters that are alive today. They've done such, wonderful work, whether it's La La Land or Dear Evan Hansen. They have been, or The Greatest Showman. They just understand what it is to bring music to a story. And they were as involved as all the screenwriters, maybe more so, in delivering the narrative. I think one of the great things about them is they know how to write a catchy tune and write really compelling lyrics, but so much of the story in a musical is done through the music. And they know either how the world evolves we talk so much about how the world evolves or how the character evolves or how the action gets moved forward by these numbers. It's like, it's the same kind of thing as an action movie or an action scene. It has to move the story. It has to deepen your understanding of a character. Otherwise, the music doesn't sort of mean as much contextually. It can be a very pleasing tune, but if it doesn't tell the story, it's not as compelling.
Tell us about Snow White. How do you think you are similar or different?
Oh, wow. So much of my life has been dedicated to portraying Snow White. I've been attached to this movie and this girl for 5 years now, and it's a really big percentage of my life and career. So much of us has kind of melded into one. I really hope that I have a similar heart to hers. She has this beautiful, unending kindness and positive outlook towards the world. Her relationship with nature is very special and very important to her, as it is to myself as well, and the way we treat living things and the world around us. I wish I could be as positive as she is at times. That's certainly a difference we have, but I think it's a very human thing to not always see the bright side. But that is part of the beauty of Snow White. It has been for 88 years now that she just sees the good in everyone and everything. And I hope that I and so many people who watch this film can embody that as well.
Snow White is Disney's first princess, and Disney princesses are often seen as symbols that offer encouragement. What message are you hoping to convey to audiences with your portrayal of Snow White?
I really hope that audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you. And it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the evil queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
When you portray characters like Maria from West Side Story and Snow White, how do you approach the roles to make them your own?
There's definitely an unspoken pressure that comes with the reimagination and retelling of classic stories. I've been very honored for so much of my career to bring those stories back to the new generation and to be a version of a film or story that people either haven't seen before or they loved growing up and now get to see reborn again. There's a lot of responsibility there, and so you have to take excellent care of the classic versions of these stories that people care so deeply about and toe the line for the modern age and make them understand why it needs to be retold or re-brought into the conversation. With West Side Story, we were very lucky to be in such wonderful hands, and I am just as fortunate to be with Disney working on this film as well. There are messages in both films that everyone needs to hear. It's timeless. That's what makes it a classic. So the opportunity to get to bring it back for a new generation of moviegoers and film lovers is a real honor.
Talk about the power ballad Waiting on a Wish. Why is that song so important for your character and the story?
Disney really created the mold of the I Want song for its heroines, from Part of Your World to Just Around the River Bend to God Help the Outcasts. There are so many amazing wishes that have been surfaced in these classic Disney films, and Waiting on a Wish is joining the lineup of that amazing trope that Disney has carved in the movie world. It's an incredible storytelling device to be able to sing. And when the emotions are too high, instead of speaking, we sing because it's the deepest part of your heart that gets to sing. And so Waiting on a Wish comes at Snow White's lowest moment in the first act of the film, when she's told she lives in a world of wishes and to just go back to her well because she will never be the leader that her father believed she could be. And it's such a universal feeling for young people, for young women in particular. I can always dream, but then I wake up and it's me again, and I'm just waiting on a wish. And it's a hopelessness, but there is a flicker of courage and of bravery, and it's the people around her that she meets along the way that remind her that she is capable. And one of my favorite lyrics in the film comes in the third act with Snow White Returns, where she says, "You are everything you've been wishing and waiting for," and that's the resolve. So we need power ballads like that. We need to sing through our hopelessness and find that flicker of bravery, and it is about the people around us as well who usher us along the way.